Hello, I'm Stacy Julian, and I'm here because I want you to feel successful capturing and sharing your story. And I'm here with cameraman Brad and cameraman Rick. Hi guys. So I don't really have a great intro, so I thought I'd just do a little swaying. Not really. Today we're going to talk about people we love, and here's the deal. We don't scrapbook them enough. So I'm talking about our grandparents and our extended family and our friends. And yes, I know, they show up in our pictures and we include them on the pages about our birthday parties and holidays, but we don't scrapbook them specifically in our relationship with them. So I have brought several pages from my People We Love albums at home, and I'm going to share some ideas and tips with you. First page is about my grandmother, Addie. My daughter happens to be named after her. So Grandma Addie was just this cup is half full kind of lady her whole life. What I did was just take a random picture of her and my son Trey, and then instead of saying this is a picture of Grandma and Trey and it was taken on such and such, that's a little bit boring. So what I said is I told Trey what Grandma told me when I found out he was going to be a boy. I put Trey, when I found out you were going to be a boy and not the girl I thought I wanted. My grandmother Addie exclaimed, "Oh, Stacy, I'm so happy for you. Is there anything more wonderful than a little boy?" I mean, how cool is that to share that with Trey about my grandmother Addie? Now, the grandmother of my children is, ta-da, my mom. And I'll tell you what, the older I get, the more she knows. It's so true. So here's another thing I want you to do, and I've talked about this before, but I want you to start collections of pictures that are similar. So in other words, start a little file for grandparent pictures. Or in my case, I have a file called Mom and Me. So when I spent some time with my mom this last spring and came home and was full of good feelings for my mother, I was able to go to my file and find 4 photos of just her and I together. And then try this sometime. I sat down at my computer with those 4 photos and I just wrote, and I let those photos sort of guide my journaling. In other words, I talked about things that showed up in the photos, the fact that she's my personal shopper and I like to buy clothes with her. The fact that we've done a lot of traveling together, that's she and I in London. And the fact that she was so excited when we decided to adopt our daughter Addie, and that she was there in the airport when we met her for the first time. Start a collection of relationship photos with your extended family. Okay, speaking of extended family, when's the last time you scrapbooked your sister? And again, I'm not talking about having your sister in a picture, but scrapbooked your sister. My sister Shanda came to visit this spring. And instead of doing that thing which we kind of naturally do as scrapbookers and talking about what you did and the fact that she came, I wanted to talk about her and her personality and the relationship that I enjoy with her. So I went to my file where I have pictures of Shanda, and I was able to find, look, pictures that span her life. Pictures when we've been together. Picture of her on her wedding day. And then I was able to, and I've shared this tip before, but it's a good one, grab a 6x12 page protector and add 1 photo of the current photo when she was there visiting with me. Add some little handwritten journaling, and then 3 additional photos from the weekend trip. Okay? Inside this little pocket, I tucked in the little thank you note that she sent me years ago, and then the details of the weekend trip. I'd rather see, and I think this is true of most people, rather see these kind of pages that focus on personality and relationships rather than an itinerary of things that you do together. Okay? Remember that. Okay, what about Uncle Bob? I think most people have an Uncle Bob. Cameraman Rick, do you have an Uncle Bob? You don't. Cameraman Brad, how about you? Oh my gosh, nobody here. How about Christine? Do you have an Uncle Bob? Christine has an Uncle Bob, so do I. Okay, so this is Uncle Bob. And again, this is a picture of Uncle Bob taken at a birthday party, but I didn't want to scrapbook him on the birthday party. I wanted to scrapbook him and the incredible memory that I have of the fact that one day Uncle Bob let me drive his Cadillac. This is when I was in college. And I crashed it. And when Uncle Bob got to the scene, he handed me the keys to his Blazer and he said, "Back in the saddle, cowboy." And that was one of the reasons that I love my Uncle Bob. And that's a story that needs to be told because he is a great and optimistic man that has had a huge influence on my life. So I want you to find a picture of your Uncle Bob or your Aunt Sally or Aunt Jan or whatever, and I want you to put it on a page and I want you to tell me some of the memories that you have of that person. Okay? You do it for me? Okay. All right, let's talk about friends for a second. This is my little Addie and her friend Lizzie. They are born 3 days apart and they're both adopted into their families. And this is their birthday party, and this is another opportunity you have as a scrapbooker. Instead of just scrapbooking the party, choosing to emphasize the relationship. Okay, so this is Addie and Lizzie and their friendship, more than it is the birthday party. Does that make sense? Okay, I want you to embrace that freedom you have to do that kind of thing. And, oh, guess what? I totally forgot to read you about my brother Cougar. This is like the story of the day. So, okay, we're going to back up. We're going to talk about Cougar for a second. Cougar, it's a strange name, and that's actually what this story has to do with. Cougar is my younger brother. All right, so when my brother Cougar was born, several of my parents' friends voiced their disapproval of the name Cougar. One person went so far as to warn my father that, quote unquote, someday Cougar will want to change his name, and that will be evidence that your choice is not in the best interest of your child or his future. Some people just like get involved in things they shouldn't get involved in. But check this out. When Cougar was 9 or 10 years old and he and Dad were driving home from some sort of boy bonding, like fishing trip or something, all of a sudden Cougar said to Dad, "Dad, I think I want to change my name." You can imagine how my father braced himself for what was to follow. What would you like your name to be, son? "Well," said Cougar, "instead of Cougar Hall, I'd like it to be Cougar Jackson or Cougar Johnson. Those names sound more like professional football players." My dad, obviously feeling a degree of relief, told Cougar that there wasn't much he could do for him. He explained that with some effort, you can change your first name, but changing your surname is really not possible. "Well, I like Cougar, so I guess I'll just stay Cougar Hall then," was Cougar's response. So this is the kind of opportunity, this is the freedom that you have, is to tell family stories about the people that you love that are in your extended family, okay? And now we're gonna go back to friends. Remember, we were talking about friends. This is my friend, Lynn Sorensen. And I had the opportunity of working for Lynn at Simple Scrapbooks magazine for years. And I love Lynn. When's the last time you scrapbooked a coworker? Sometimes we spend more time with them than we do our family, and they're worth scrapbooking. So I wrote the story about how I met Lynn, but this is kind of a cool tip that I want to share with you. I got a Christmas card from Lynn in which she took the time to outline some of her favorite memories of being with me. And I took that Christmas card and I tucked it right behind the scrapbook page. There are lots of different ways to tell and to capture stories, and I want you to remember that, okay? And I'm going to end by sharing with you, we're going to talk more about inexpensive photo albums later in other episodes, but I picked up this one at Target and I think it's hilarious. It says on the front, "I'm sure you're one of my favorite people." Now you could put all kinds of pictures inside. What I'm going to do, see, I'm going to make a title page. It's just not done yet. It's okay, I can go on TV and show you that I'm not done yet. Okay, but in this little album, I'm going to put pictures of all my girlfriends, and I'm going to write how I met them and why they're important to me and the funny things that remind me of them. Isn't that awesome? It's going to be so fun. Oh, I got a pillow paper right there. These are the kind of projects that you can literally do in an afternoon or an evening. Let yourself be inspired by inexpensive photo albums. And the other thing it helps you to do is just get a lot of photos scrapbooked really, really fast. Okay? All right, so I'm going to look at my notes because I don't want to mess up this. I think this is a good closing line. Make sure that you let your scrapbooks reflect all the people that you love and associate with. Let go of the obligation and the expectation that you are going to do something with all of your photos, and decide that you can do something with some of your pictures. And when you do, you're going to have a lot of fun.